What's going on, guys? Welcome back to hashtag AskGSM here today for January 31st, 2018, episode 218 here today. I'm Graham GSM Matthews, a very exhausted Graham GSM Matthews, coming off a Takeover and Rumble over the past weekend. Thankfully, I was not at Raw. I was not at SmackDown. Two solid shows. But the real money was with Rumble and Takeover. First of all, huge shout out to Mr. Marceau, RJ, my brother in arms, for joining me for a great weekend in Philly between Takeover and Rumble. And my voice still a little bit gone, but I'm going to try to get through the show as best I can here today. But anyway, if you guys want to send in questions here to the show, you can tweet me on the Twitter machine at WrestleRant with the hashtag AskGSM. Find me on Facebook as well at facebook.com/Graham.GSM.Matthews. Leave a comment on the post I usually put up on Tuesday nights, if not on the wall itself. And last but certainly not least, drop a question in the comment section down below on this very video. I'll include it in next week's edition. So don't have too much time here today before I got to go on and record Wrestle Rant Radio, so I'll try to keep this as quick as possible. But Captain Sunshine from YouTube, who would have thought that in 2018 WWE would have two Rumbles that were won by Asian wrestlers who didn't possess wind chimes, themes, or Hiroto gimmicks, or whatever the fuck that means. Yeah, that shocked me beyond belief. I was very happy that we got Asian wrestlers as the winners, not just because they're Asian, but just with Nakamura and Asuka. Shocked me beyond belief. RJ and I joke all the time about, Nakamura not coming out with the fucking green mist, or, Asuka not doing the bows like the Yoshitatsus and the Funakis of the world, some of the more stereotypical gimmicks in recent years. They've been allowed to showcase their skills and live up to their full potential as Rumble winners, going on to WrestleMania to contend for their respective championships. But yeah, I was shocked. I'm very happy they finally moved past that with the Asian wrestlers, that they're not pigeonholing them as, with the green mist and all that other shit that they had been doing for many, 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 many years. And now they're allowed to kind of do their own thing and get over on their own. Their second question, Dream, Cassius Ohno, and Velveteen Dream was probably one of the weakest NXT TakeOver matches since the early TakeOver days when the Ascension were defending the tag team titles against Too Cool. Ironically, Velveteen Dream actually looked like the veteran over Cassius Ohno, who looked like a rookie barely managing to catch up with Dream and being lucky that Dream was over enough for their botches to be forgiven. I can't remember when was the last time a rookie outclassed the veteran in WWE. That I have no idea. Literally nothing came to mind when you mentioned that last part. But I will say in regards to their question, I completely disagree. I'm not saying the match was great. I thought it was a good match. In person, I thought it was a better match on TV, actually, which was interesting. You are right, though. The botches that happened with the DDT, and I think at one point he tried to do that spot where he, not the wheelbarrow, whatever the fuck it's called, where he's got him in position for like an attitude adjustment and then he kind of like rolls through. He did it in the end and he hit it very well. The first time it looked like they botched it. You are right though. If that happened on the main roster with like a Roman Reigns or a John Cena, they would fucking hear it to no end for the rest of the night with a "you fucked up" chance. There were still, slight subtle chance of "you fucked up" towards Dream and Ohno during that match after those botches. But by and large, the Philly crowd is very kind to them. I thought it was a good match. I completely disagree that it was one of the weakest TakeOver matches of all time in years and years and years. You're going back quite a ways here when you say Ascension versus Too Cool. I know for a fact there have been other weaker matches in recent years on TakeOvers. It was easily the weakest match of the night. There's no question about that. Easily the worst match of the bunch, but that's not saying much because all the other matches on the card were very good to great, if not amazing, between the main event and Adam Cole and Aleister Black. But I don't know if I'd go so far as to say it was terrible or it was awful. I don't know about that. Maybe by NXT standards, I would agree with that. But I know RJ asked a few weeks ago, if not months ago, about the weakest TakeOver matches of all time. And not many matches in recent years really came to mind. Like Enzo Amore versus Sylvester Lafort from late 2014. I think it was from that TakeOver Fatal 4-Way show came to mind. But, that was 4 years ago. So, what other... I'm thinking Baron Corbin, Bull Dempsey, who really cared about that. Blake and Murphy versus Lucha Dragons. Again, that's also going back quite a ways, though. That's from January, February of 2015. That's 3 years ago. Again, maybe one of the weaker matches in recent memory, but it was by no means terrible. Maybe by NXT standards, but I gotta disagree in regards to it being one of the worst or weakest TakeOver matches ever. Especially going back to that first Arrival show almost 3 years ago, or 4 years ago at this point. time flies. As for your actual question, when was the last time a rookie outclassed the veteran? I have no idea. Is Johnny Gargano a new contender for the best wrestler in the world? He has the rare ability to make you emotionally invested in the outcome of his matches, all while managing to come up with creative spots without telegraphing anything. Yeah, I don't know if he would be in top 5, but he's got to be up there between this and all the matches that him and Ciampa had as part of DIY with the Revival and Authors of Pain. He's, really flown under the radar as one of the best performers, in all of wrestling right now. He reminds me a lot of like Shawn Michaels, where the guy's an amazing wrestler, no doubt, but he's also really, really good at telling a story in the ring. A lot like Daniel Bryan was kind of later on in his WWE career with getting the crowd behind him, just a beloved babyface, and not many people can say they've done that. So as a wrestler, he's amazing. He's up there with the best of them, but he can also tell a great story too with his facial expressions. Like after, I think it was actually right before, almost hit like the double knees in the corner. Actually, might have been right after. Almost hit the double knees in the corner to Gargano. Looked like he was fucking like shot in the chest. He looked like he was just dead. He looked like he was dead on the apron. It was a great spot. So, yeah, he's got to be up there. I think he's really flown under the radar as a result of being in NXT, but he's got to be up there with the best of them among NXT and the main roster. I would definitely rank him pretty high up. Brandon A. from YouTube. So after the Mixed Match Challenge last night, is it safe to say a feud between Braun Strowman and Buddy Murphy might be happening? You know what? That'd be amazing after Braun and Alexa called each other kind of cute, which was weird. The first thought that came to my mind was, oh, Buddy Murphy better watch out. This guy's already on the verge of being released. He talked about it on Total Divas a few weeks ago. He's like, oh, I might be released. I might be cut. I haven't been on TV in like a fucking year. He's got to worry about something else now between Braun Strowman, going after his girl on Mixed Match Challenge. His second question, rank these match trilogies. AJ Styles versus John Cena, Tyler Bate versus Pete Dunne, Okada versus Kenny Omega, Johnny Gargano versus Andrade Cien Almas, The Rock versus Stone Cold at WrestleMania, Triple H versus The Undertaker at WrestleMania, and Roman Reigns versus Braun Strowman. That's tough. All of these trilogies are great, so you're not going to necessarily agree with me. I'm going by like in the ring here, and the stories told. Okada Omega was one of the best trilogies of all time. Whether you get Japanese wrestling or you watch Japanese wrestling, I don't really care. The matches were incredible. The best trilogy of matches I've seen probably ever, to be honest with you. I'm not even a big New Japan guy. I'm not watching New Japan World every single week. I never watch New Japan, but I went out of my way to watch those matches in 2017, and they delivered in spades and then some. They were amazing. So Okada, Omega, absolutely, of those bunch, has to be the best trilogy. And I think will be talked about for years to come over the other ones. In general terms of wrestling. I know it didn't happen in WWE, but it does not necessarily mean that it wasn't as great or even better than the other ones you mentioned there. For the second one, I got to go Tyler Bate, Pete Dunne. I thought the matches they had in 2017 as well were not quite Okada, Omega level, but they were up there with some of the best I've ever seen. Just one, like the second one in Chicago, was the best of the bunch, but even the first and especially the third matches were also exceptional. The storytelling, I mean, again, the feud wasn't really there. It wasn't, featured on programming all year long because, the UK guys are really brought in at random on NXT or the takeovers, whatever. But their matches were unbelievable. Number 3, Cena and Styles. Oh, look, where's Rock and Stone Cold? I'll get to that. I don't know. I wasn't really as high up on those matches as many other people are, and I'll talk about that momentarily. Cena Styles for the feud they had. Gargano almost right after Cena Styles. For Cena Styles, I put that at number 3 because of the story they told there. The first match was a dream match that lived up to the expectations, the lofty expectations of fans. Styles won with interference from the club or from Gallows, Anderson, whatever. So it was like, oh, great match, but a tainted finish. The story then was Styles, could he beat Cena on his own? And he did just that at SummerSlam, what I thought was the best main roster match all year for WWE between Cena and Styles in 2016. And then the third match, I thought the SummerSlam match was better. The Rumble match was also excellent, though. And then Cena finally beat Styles, this time for the WWE Championship, therefore becoming a 16-time world champion in the company, tying Ric Flair's record. So I loved it. I thought it was great. The whole trilogy of matches, right up there with one of my favorite feuds in WWE history for as long as I've been a fan. Gargano Almas at number 4. I thought their matches especially the last match at Takeover, was the best NXT match I think I've ever seen. To date, anyway. Of course, it could always get better, but I think that is the best NXT match in history up to this point. But the whole feud has been great. I mean, the feud wasn't really there. It was a lot like Dayton, Dunn and Bate, where they didn't really continue the feud for a while afterward. I mean, Styles and Cena, they took a break there too. Gargano almost, the first match, kind of came out of nowhere, but it was an amazing match at TakeOver Brooklyn 3. And then they had the rematch in NXT TV, which again was, a great match, but didn't really matter too much at that point. It wasn't like they were feuding in a blood feud. It just kind of ended there. And the third match was incredible. So I put that, then Rock and Stone Cold, then Triple H Taker, then Roman Strowman. Roman Strowman had some good matches, not nearly as good as the other ones you mentioned. Rock and Stone Cold I put third to last because the feud is like iconic, and I don't know, I never really thought any of the matches they had at WrestleMania were like that good. They were better than anything else in those WrestleMania cards from the Attitude Era. But the matches themselves were really not, like, amazing at all. Like, any one of those three encounters. I thought the third one was, maybe the first one was the best of the bunch, because the third one, by that point, they were kind of a bit broken down, especially in Stone Cold's case. The one at WrestleMania 17, it's a very good match. I don't know, I thought the finish was just not good. And in retrospect, the wrong decision to make in turning Stone Cold heel. I don't know. I just really didn't love those matches as many other people did, but they are iconic nonetheless. Triple H Taker, great matches, but just by no means iconic, though. When I think greatest trilogies of all time, I do not think Triple H and Undertaker. Like, they had some pretty good matches, by no means, like, amazing, though. And then Roman and Strowman last because they had good matches, but by no means more memorable than any of the other ones you mentioned. His next question: rank these NXT classics. Gargano almost 3, DIY versus The Revival 2 out of 3 falls from TakeOver Toronto, Sami Zayn versus Adrian Neville from TakeOver Our Revolution, and Bayley versus Sasha Banks of TakeOver Brooklyn 1. That's tough. I love all these matches. I love the fact that I was at 2 out of the 4 of these between Gargano almost 3 and then Banks and Bayley from Brooklyn 1. Love both matches. I was actually at DIY Revival 1, not 2. That was 2 at Toronto. I was at 1, which was also exceptional. Anyway, so if I had to rank them, Gargano almost won because, like I just said in the previous question, I think Gargano almost is the best NXT match I've seen to date. So that's number 1. Bayley Banks would be a close number 2. Again, I was there, so I'm biased, but I thought it's probably the greatest women's match in WWE history. Like, that's not even an exaggeration. I think that is the best women's match that this company has ever put on. Great story, great finish, great crowd, great everything. Love the match. The next 2 are tough because I think they're both amazing matches. I enjoyed Zayn versus Neville more, though DIY Revival was also incredible. So I'm going to put Zayn Neville number 3 and then DIY Revival at number 4. And his next question here: the Women's Rumble, the Women's Royal Rumble this year was quite great in my opinion. However, are they going to have to use multiple legends every year? How can they make the match different each year following the same template when the women's roster and legends pool is still going to be so much smaller than the men? Yeah, that's the part I don't really get either. I mean, was the women's match really, really good? Yeah, I thought so. I thought the Women's Rumble was great. But can they continue to bring in the Litas and the Trishas every single year? I don't think so. First of all, between this year and next year, they need more women on the main roster. They just absolutely do. They have, fucking 6 or 7 women on SmackDown? That's way too few. I know not even most of them are on TV every single week, but if they want to incorporate tag titles and all this other stuff, they need more women. At the very least, don't do 30 women in the Rumble. I thought 20 would have been fine. You don't need 18 legends. A lot of those same women we already saw in Raw 25 anyway. I did not need to see Jacqueline in the Women's Rumble. I didn't need to see... Kelly was fine. People pop for it, but it's like... she was awful in the Women's Rumble. But a lot of those women we just saw on Monday anyway. So what was even the point of bringing them back at Raw 25 and then bringing them back days later for the Women's Rumble? Anyway, I thought the match was really, really good. I agree. There are still women to choose from. Like, they can bring in Sable, who's terrible anyway, and I saw some people were, like, disappointed she wasn't there. I mean, no shit. She hasn't been in the company for, like, fucking a decade and a half. AJ Lee would be cool. I'm not sure what the chances of that are. They could always bring back Eve, Maurice and Maria when they're no longer pregnant, obviously. Karma I was hoping for that we didn't see. That'd be pretty cool to see her back at some point. So yeah, they have some more legends or former faces to choose from. But I think just, I don't know, they want to make it equal to the men by doing 30. I just don't think it's necessary. For as long as they have 6 or 7 women on each show, you don't need 30 women in a women's rumble. You just don't. You can have some surprises, don't get me wrong, but you don't need fucking 12 surprises. Like, how many surprises do you really need? Anyway, so yeah, I thought it was a great match, but either dwindling it down to 20 or just putting more women on the main roster, like either one, or just incorporating more faces from NXT. You cannot bring in the same legends every single year. It's just not going to work. It's the law of diminishing returns. Mark S. from Facebook, what was your favorite wrestling show from the ones you attended last week? So Raw 25, Takeover, and the Royal Rumble. If I had to rank it, it would be Takeover, Rumble, then Raw 25. All were great shows in different ways. Rumble and Takeover were neck and neck. Both awesome shows for different reasons. But as RJ and I discussed coming out of both shows, coming out of that amazing Philly weekend, I've got to give the edge to Takeover. As an overall show, I think it was better. The Rumble matches were great, and I thought the men's Rumble was the best men's Rumble first my favorite men's Rumble ever. But it's got to be up there with one of the best Rumbles of all time from the way that it was booked. And not just because Nakamura won. I thought overall it was one of the best men's Rumbles I've ever seen. Easily top 3, in my opinion anyway. But as an overall card, like the undercard wasn't really that good, whereas Takeover as an overall show was great. So I'd put a Takeover first, then the Rumble, then Raw 25. Number 3 from, or his second question rather, from Mark. What were your top 3 matches from Raw 25, Takeover, and the Rumble? So no matches from Raw 25. Reigns and Miz was pretty good, but it was not better than anything else I saw at Takeover or the Rumble. So from NXT, first of all, the first match would obviously be Gargano Almas. The best NXT match I've ever seen. I don't know how many times I could say that, but it was the best NXT match I've ever seen. And I'll keep saying it. That's number 1. Number 2, the men's Rumble. Love the men's Rumble. Like I said, my new favorite Royal Rumble match of all time. And then number 3, Adam Cole versus Aleister Black from TakeOver as well. I thought that was an excellent Extreme Rules match. His third question, do you think any of the returning females in the Women's Royal Rumble should return to WWE? And if so, who and what brand would you put them on? I think the Bella Twins will probably be back in a regular role. They weren't back on TV this week. I thought it was discussed on Total Divas they'd be back for like a WrestleMania program. I guess not. I mean, they weren't on TV this week, but they could always return after the next pay-per-view. I'm not really sure. Anyway, is there anyone I would bring back? Beth Phoenix looks great. If anyone's going to have a return run a la like Mickie James, I'd bring back Beth Phoenix. She looked like she had not missed a beat, and I know she's had kids in recent years, and a few years ago I'm like, yeah, she doesn't look like she'd ever be coming back to the ring. But she looked like she hadn't missed a day in the ring when she came back on Sunday. So Beth Phoenix, maybe. The rest, I'm good on another run for. Let's see. His next question. Do you think Candice LaRae should wrestle in NXT or be by Johnny Gargano's side, like accompanying him to ringside? Yeah, she should wrestle. She should wrestle. I'm good with Candice being like, what she did on Saturday at TakeOver was perfect. Like, she wasn't in the corner of Gargano. She simply interfered because she saw that Zelina Vega was interfering one too many times. And she took the fight to her at ringside, which got a great pop. So, yeah, she should wrestle, but also be loosely aligned with Gargano and his feud with, like, Ciampa and stuff like that. But beyond that, she should not be a valet solely like Vega, who can go, but I think she's perfect as a wrestler. As a manager. Candice, I see being, especially as a babyface, I don't think Gargano needs a manager. Candice is perfectly fine as a wrestler in the NXT Women's Division. And his last question here, how highly would you rate this past week against all the wrestling events that you've attended in the past? That's a great question. In terms of weekends, it's tough because top 3 like wrestling weekends are SummerSlam 2015, SummerSlam 2016, WrestleMania 33 from last year, and then a Rumble. It's got to be up there because WrestleMania, I don't think it'd be topped because that was so great from like start to finish. Rumble's a close second, but with SummerSlam anyway, it was great. Both weekends were amazing. But it was like, oh, the NXT show was way better, and the main roster show kind of disappointed. I don't know. I mean, it was kind of weird. This year, I felt like both shows delivered. As an overall show, the Rumble was pretty good. It was not great because the undercard didn't really deliver all that well. But it still didn't leave me pissed like the SummerSlam 2015 and SummerSlam 2016 shows. So yeah, it's got to be up there. It wasn't the best Takeover I've been to. The Brooklyn shows that I went to a few years ago were better. It was better than the Takeover Orlando show that I went to last year. It was not better than the Brooklyn shows though. But still a great show. The Rumble might have been the best main roster pay-per-view I've ever been to. I think WrestleMania 33 was actually better than that. But the Rumble comes close. Rumble's probably a solid second, right behind WrestleMania 33. So it's up there. It was a great weekend, to say the least. Once again, huge thanks to RJ for an amazing weekend in Philly. Deshaun K from Facebook. Can you imagine if WWE were to just say, oh, screw it, let's stroll Philadelphia, and decided to go with Roman Reigns and Randy Orton as the final two, and have either of them win in the Royal Rumble? Thank God that was not the case. Yeah, I could have imagined that. I was expecting that. Maybe not Orton, but Reigns or Ziggler or Cena or some shit like that, that's exactly what I was expecting. So I didn't get my hopes up, and therefore my hopes were and expectations were exceeded by the WWE by putting forth two really, really good Rumbles. Yeah, but that's exactly what I was expecting, having Roman Reigns win or Orton win again or some other shit like that. I was not going to be surprised that happened, so I was pleasantly surprised we had a Nakamura win instead. His second question, do you think that the Intercontinental Championship would be a good fit for Andrade Cien Almas? I see him as an upper mid-card type of talent. Yes, I do. I think that'd be a great fit for Andrade Cien Almas, the Intercontinental Championship. I know I've seen some people say, oh, maybe he gets called up right after WrestleMania. You know, I would not be opposed to that. I would not be opposed to that. Maybe he could pull a Bobby Roode, drop the belt in New Orleans to Aleister Black, and then show up on the main roster soon after. So yeah, no, I think that'd be great. I think he'd be a great mid-card guy for this company, upper mid-card talent, because the guy is just so good. After that Gargano match, how can you not push him to the moon, you know? He was awesome in that match. His third question here. What's your opinion on the rumors of Ronda Rousey and The Rock versus Stephanie McMahon and Triple H for WrestleMania? Do you prefer to be in that match, or do you prefer her to have her face Charlotte, and will Carmella even be a factor? It's silly to have her challenge either Ronda Rousey or Asuka for either women's championship. Carmella at this point should not cash in until after WrestleMania. She should not be champion at any point between now and Mania. I like the champions we have. Alexa Bliss should probably drop the belt to maybe, I don't know, Banks or Billy. Some people won't be happy I'm saying that. I know RJ is going to hate that I'm saying that. But Banks and Asuka would be a way better match than Asuka and Alexa Bliss again. Because that was just not a good match. I know Banks and Asuka we just saw on Monday. But Asuka and Alexa was just not a good match. I'm not really a fan of their chemistry or lack thereof. But for Ronda, yeah, I like that match a lot. I mean, it was initially teased at Mania like 3 years ago, at Mania 31. Rousey, Rock, Stephanie, Triple H. I thought we'd get it at 32 or 33. Obviously not the case. I thought we'd get it at SummerSlam, silly me, that same year. Yeah, I would love to see that. I would love to see that match because I think it protects Ronda. You're not putting her in there in a one-on-one match just yet. It's going to get huge headlines with The Rock being involved, and maybe that's The Rock's final match because he has yet to really officially retire. To date, his final match is against Eric Rowan, of all people, at WrestleMania 32. But, yeah, I would totally be in favor of that. Rousey and Charlotte would also be really, really good. Rousey and Asuka I like a lot, but I think it's just way too soon to do that, and I feel like Rousey would win, and I don't want Asuka to lose right now. And Asuka should win the championship at WrestleMania. Like, there's no question about that, so she should not lose to Rousey. And Rousey's first match will probably be at Mania anyway. So, that being said, yeah, again, Rousey and Charlotte I like, but I like the tag match even more. Because, you know, you can put Charlotte in another one-on-one match. I don't know. I think as long as it's not another multi-woman match, I'm fine with it. But then who do you have Charlotte face? Like Ruby Riott? Like, who cares? Becky Lynch? Maybe. I don't know. Either one, it works. Either Ronda and The Rock versus The Authority versus Stephanie and Triple H. Or Ronda versus Charlotte one-on-one. Asuka should go on and do her own thing on Raw. Or Asuka and Charlotte. I think that'd be okay, too. And then for the Raw Women's title, maybe you do Banks and Bayley? Like, I guess that works. I feel like that ship sailed a while ago, but after what we saw in the Rumble, and the subtle, teases at a Banks heel turn, that could work too. You know what? I like that a lot. Rousey and The Rock versus Stephanie and Triple H, Charlotte and Asuka, and then Banks and Bayley for the Raw Women's title. No more fucking multi-woman matches. Oh, so sick of that shit. I'll talk about that. RJ had a question about that I'll talk about soon enough, but I am so sick of the multi-women matches. Please just give me a one-on-one feud. Please. That's all I'm asking for. At DiBiase Angel from Twitter, what are your thoughts on Ronda Rousey joining the WWE? I think it's a great move. I know I talked about it a few weeks ago. I know RJ is not a big fan of Rousey and her being in WWE. I think she's still a way bigger star than any of the women they have right now. So she really elevates the women's division of both shows to an entirely new level. Nikki Bella, like, oh, why are they talking about Rousey more than they are the Women's Rumble? It's like, bitch, shut the fuck up. Like, Stephanie McMahon came into Raw this week all about like, oh, Women's Rumble, first ever, historic, blah, blah, blah. How many times did we hear that shit in the build-up to the pay-per-view? How many times did we hear it in the pay-per-view itself? That this is history-making, it's historic, blah, blah, blah. Give me a break. I thought the match was great, but I hate the fact they shoved this shit down our throats. The first ever Women's Rumble, it's historic, it's historic. Just let it be organic. Let it be organic. Let it play itself out. Don't tell me how historic it is. We know it's historic. You don't have to tell me how historic it is, So I hate when they do that. With the Rousey stuff, like, it's comical. They're so upset, like, oh, why are they talking more about Rousey than the Women's Rumble? Because it was a big fucking deal. That's why. Rousey joining WWE was a way bigger headline than the first ever Women's Rumble. And if it wasn't for Rousey, the Women's Rumble probably would have gone on first. So I'm not sure what they're upset about. I thought that was so stupid. But I think Rousey joining the WWE is a great move. She's obviously a big fan. I don't know how well she'll do in the ring, but she's a big fan. She's willing to learn. I've heard she's doing really well in training at the Performance Center from, I think even Triple H said, she wanted to be there longer than she should have been there, like, without risking injury and shit. But it's like, that's great. I'm very happy to hear that. She's a huge name, big fan. I don't really see what the downside. Oh, she's overshadowing the women. It's like, big fucking deal. Like, if she won the Women's Rumble, that'd be one thing. I was not going to be a fan of that. But no, Asuka won. She got her moment. And then Ronda came in and got her moment. She didn't overshadow anyone. She didn't take away from Asuka's moment. Give me a break. At Hardy DX fan, am I the only person who thinks John Cena being in the Rumble served no purpose except for maybe starting a feud with Balor leading to WrestleMania? I don't know if it didn't serve a purpose. I mean, people legit thought he was going to win. Like, maybe not as much as Roman Reigns, but there was also that small part of you that thought, okay, maybe Cena might win. So I don't want to say it served no purpose, because he had a good showing in there, and they needed star power. It was not nearly as star-studded as last year's Rumble, so I thought it was he was a good get for the Royal Rumble. Like, what else would he have done if he wasn't in the Rumble? What, go for another championship? He needed to be in the Rumble. He put over Nakamura with Nakamura eliminating him, and like you said, maybe planting the seeds for a Cena Balor match at WrestleMania. Hashtag book it. His second question. Now that Cena is practically part-time now, would this be a perfect time for a small heel run? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's been the perfect time for a small heel run for John Cena for like 6 years. So, they're not going to do it now. The guy's still very much over as a babyface with like the younger kids, and he does a lot of media for them. They're not going to turn him heel. They just won't. I think that ship sailed years ago. They almost did it in like 2012, I think, late 2011. They didn't. It's time to move on. It's time to move on. They're not going to turn him heel. So what would even be the point at this point? It'd be cool, but it won't happen. After his performance at the Rumble, is it Adam Cole's time to get called up to the main roster, or should he stay in NXT for a little while longer? I thought it'd be cool. Like, I was thinking to myself during the match, like, is this the main roster call-up? Obviously not. And he probably shouldn't be anyway. Like, he should be with the Undisputed Era. He should be with Fish and O'Reilly. They have a great thing going right now, and they're the current NXT Tag Team Champions. Like, I would not call them up as a group at any point in the near future. Maybe if they drop the belts at TakeOver New Orleans. I don't even think that should be the case. I think Adam Cole winning the belt first should be, what they should do. With Cole and, winning the championship at some point in 2018. That's what they should do. Even if he did get called up he did get called up right now, what would he do? Going into WrestleMania, if he's not facing John Cena or a big name on either show, what's even the point? It'd be cool, but it's like if he's going to be involved in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, then it's a waste. So, I would wait a little longer for him to be called up. I think he's perfect right where he is right now in NXT. What are your expectations for the Gargano Ciampa feud that's going to happen? High expectations. Very lofty expectations. These guys, are going to go out there and have an amazing match. And the feud should also be really, really good. What we've seen so far from them, albeit not much, has been awesome. Between the breakup and the post-breakup promos and Ciampa coming back on Takeover, coming back at Takeover and attacking Gargano after the main event, I thought was great. So I'm looking forward to that feud. It should be a fucking killer feud. And if Ciampa's clear to return in time for the Rumble or in time for WrestleMania weekend, that could be an amazing match for that Takeover card. That could even exceed Almas and Gargano, which is saying something, I know. But I have high hopes for the feud. I think the matches are going to be great. And it should exceed, beyond just one match. At RJ_Marceau, my brother Mr. Marceau, his question was, thoughts on why in the Women's Royal Rumble they continuously slid under the bottom rope. RJ and I, we were talking about this. He already knows the answer to this question. We talked about this after the Rumble. I don't know why they did that. I didn't see anyone else talking about it. Maybe just because we were there and we saw the whole thing unfold. Sasha Banks spent a good half part of the match. She spent a good half portion of the match outside of the ring. So was it really that impressive that she lasted nearly towards the end? I wouldn't say so. The match overall was great. I really, really enjoyed it. But I just did not really see why they needed to keep on putting them on the outside to allow people to continue doing their spots. They did it during the Men's Rumble too at one point with Rusev and Balor in the beginning. But beyond that, people were not sitting on the outside for extended periods of time. They did it for the women for multiple times. That was really annoying, but didn't really take away from the match all that much, I would say. The match could have been much worse than what it was. I was expecting a train wreck, but they delivered with a great Rumble. And a second question, thoughts on the Women's Elimination Chamber. So like I said earlier, I'm glad they're making history and whatnot, but it's I am so sick of these multi-women matches. Give me a good fucking one-on-one feud. That's all I need with the women on either show. Not even one show is doing it. Both brands are doing these multi-women matches week after week, pay-per-view after pay-per-view, and it's so annoying. This is why no one is over, except for Asuka on either show. Charlotte maybe too. Beyond that, no one is over. No one cares about any of these women because of the 50-50 booking, and they're always shoehorned in a one match. This has been a huge problem of WWE's for the last year. So again, it should be a good match. I'm glad they're getting the opportunity with the history-making shit. I could do without that. It should be a good match, but it's can we please, if they do another multi-women match at WrestleMania for either belt, I'm done. I'm done. Last year was one thing. They've done it for literally every single pay-per-view since then, for both brands. It's give me a real one-on-one women's feud, please. That's all I'm asking for. At Brad Berdar from Twitter, it's got a bit of a lengthy question here, but let's see what it is. I think I'm in the minority here, but I actually thought the Women's Royal Rumble was a tad bit better than the men's, but it had a few problems. For one, why did the Bella Twins have such a strong showing? I don't see how it benefits them in any way. Also, I see no reason why you couldn't have put the iconic duo in their position, as they are better than the Bellas in basically every way, and it would have done wonders for their credibility. Also, Solid Monster was annoyed by this too. Why in the hell was Kairi Sane eliminated by Dana Brooke? How do you think the Women's Royal Rumble compare to the men's? Do you agree with these issues, and were there any specific problems that you had with the match? Well, one of them I just mentioned that RJ brought up, the fact the women kept on going underneath the bottom rope. That was fucking annoying as all hell. Kind of took away from the match a little bit, but the match was still great anyway. I do not agree that it was better than the men's. The men's was better than the women's, but it was still a very good match. Yeah, I do agree. I think it would have been cool to have the iconic duo better than in the Bella Twins spot. I don't know what their status is. I'm not sure if they're coming back from Mania. That's what was discussed in Total Divas, but they were nowhere to be seen on Raw or SmackDown this week. So I don't know what's going on there. But yeah, by that point it was very obvious that Asuka was winning, because you knew Nikki Bella was not winning in her first match back. Probably not anyway. So I would have put either Banks or Becky or, even the iconic duo. There was a bigger chance of them winning just because, they're fresh faces. Maybe they debut and win it. More than the Bella Twins, in my opinion. Kairi Sane getting eliminated by Dana Brooke was so dumb. Didn't ruin the match or anything, but it was are you kidding me? Dana Brooke, really? What a joke. Michelle McCool eliminating 5 women was also really, really weird. Why was she, the strongest out of everybody? That was so dumb. Michelle McCool, give me a break. She's not that good. One of the greatest women's wrestlers of all time, according to WWE. Okay. His next question is a lot. Oh, by the way, real quick. Yeah, I talked about the iconic duo real quick, but I was shocked they weren't in that match. Shocked that they weren't in that match. I figured, okay, maybe if they're not in the Rumble, they'll be called up on the post, Rumble shows on Raw or SmackDown. Didn't even get that. So I don't know what's going on with them. They've jobbed out to everyone in that NXT, so they really got to hurry up and call them up at this point. His second question, is Elias close to being the best active full-time performer on the mic? He's very entertaining. I don't know if he's the best mic worker. Like, the guy does the same thing every week. So I don't know if you can go so far as to say, oh, he's the best mic worker. He's very entertaining, but all he does is sing and, trash the crowd. That's one thing. To go back and forth in a promo exchange with someone is totally different. I would still rank Samoa Joe over him. I mean, he's up there, but he's not the best. At E13A from Twitter, is this accurate? It was a tweet from Matthew Gregg, the Botchmania guy from Twitter. And it was the gif of Kelly Kelly in the Women's Rumble botching like the Hurricane Rana. And it basically said as a caption, the 2006 to 2012 Divas division in one gif. Yeah, that is accurate. Kelly Kelly, still hot as hell. Probably even better looking now than she was, 10 years ago. Still awful in the ring. She looked even worse now than she did 10 years ago. Probably because she hasn't wrestled since then. But yeah, she did not look good at all. And that's basically what the women's roster was every single week for a long time there, from 2006 to 2012. Especially with Kelly Kelly on top. And that was not meant to be a sex joke or whatever. Anyway, next question. At Jeremy8911, his question was, do you think WWE should sign Rey Mysterio to SmackDown where he could wrestle AJ Styles, Shinsuke Nakamura, Sami Zayn, and possibly Almas? Yeah, that'd be great. I mean, Mysterio in 205 Live, obviously I have my doubts about because 205 Live has been a dead brand since the start. But they're attempting to rehab it by bringing in guys like Tyler Bate and Roderick Strong. They have Rockstar Spud, a.k.a. What's his name now? Drake Maverick as the new GM of the show. I love that move a lot. They got the tournament going on right now. That's great. I still say Mysterio can have one good real last run on either main show, Raw or SmackDown, beyond the Cruiserweights. SmackDown, he'd be perfect on. He was always way better on SmackDown than he was on Raw. Him and Styles, sign me up. I'm sure they had a match somewhere in the Indies, but that on a main stage would be great. Him and Nakamura would also be really good. Him and Zayn would be great. Him and Almas. Take my money. Take my pesos. That'd be amazing. Do you think WWE should do a double turn with Rude and Rusev next week? Yeah, they should. They should. I like Rude. I like Rusev, but they are totally miscast right now. Rude's over to an extent, but he'd be way better off as a heel. And Rusev is popular anyway, so he should go babyface. So yeah, they should do a double turn. Not too confident they will do that, but they should do a double turn. At Scarlet1 from Twitter, have you heard of New Japan Pro Wrestling's New Beginning in Sapporo 2-day event and Cody Rhodes kicking Kenny Omega out of Bullet Club? Yeah, I heard of it. That was the only thing I heard about from the show, in addition to Jay White winning the IWGP United States Championship. So good for him. I did see the gif of Cody Rhodes hitting the crossroads on Omega. It looked great. He sold it like a fucking death, so it was awesome. Kenny Omega's going to be in the Rumble because he got kicked out of Bullet Club. That was hilarious when I saw people saying that. Not many people, not many dumb marks were saying that, but there were a few people, which was hilarious. I didn't watch the show, not going to watch the show, but I did hear of it, and I did hear of that, which was interesting. I know they teased tension at Wrestle Kingdom. I didn't think they would pull the trigger on a split this soon. And maybe it's all a ruse. Maybe Omega is just simply cock-teasing Kota Ibushi, and they're just going to turn on him, and Omega is going to be stronger than ever as a leader of Bullet Club. I don't know. I guess we'll see. It just seemed a little bit rushed to me, but I guess we'll see. But I did hear about that. It did pique my interest ever so slightly. Their second question is Rockstar Spud, a.k.a. Drake Maverick, as GM in a 16-man tournament enough to finally make 205 Live must-see? Is it must-see? Yeah, I don't know if it's must-see, but it's way better than what it was before. The last two shows have been pretty good. Having Maverick, Spud, whatever, as the GM is a perfect move. As a wrestler, they're going to be overshadowed in 5 minutes. So bringing him in as GM is great. It's better than fucking Drew Gulak or whoever else they have. I like Drew Gulak, but he's better off on the ring doing his own thing. The tournaments are always good. So that's a very good move. They bring in more people and stuff like that. At least it seems like they're finally starting to take the show more seriously. It may last all of 2 or 3 weeks, but I am looking forward to seeing where this tourney goes and who they include in it. The fact that it's culminating at WrestleMania, I would hope it's not like Cedric Alexander versus like Drew Gulak or some shit like that. It better be like Alexander and like, I don't know, like who advanced last night? TJP? Yeah, no thanks. Like Hideo Itami. The finals are not Hideo Itami versus Cedric Alexander, then I don't know what the fuck they're doing, because that'd be great. Push, release Jinder Mahal and Tamina. Push Jinder, release Tamina. At least Mahal gets heat. I am not a fan of Mahal at all. The guy sucks, but he has more potential than Tamina. Tamina's been here for 8 years on the main roster. She's not improved a lick in that time. She is fucking terrible. So easily release any day of the week Tamina over Jinder. I'd push Jinder, which makes me cringe to even say, but he is more bearable than Tamina in my opinion. Best and worst of NXT TakeOver and the Royal Rumble. Well, someone said earlier, Ono and Dream was the worst of TakeOver, but I would say even that was good, was pretty good. So yeah, I guess that might have been the worst of TakeOver, but the best, Cole and Black. The tag title match was also really good. The women's match, I love the finish. But the main event was outstanding. Cole and Black in the main event, easily the best parts of that show. Best of the Rumble, the 2 Rumble matches. And that was really about it. The Raw tag title match, no one cared about. SmackDown tag title match was really good for the first fall. The second fall ended way too quickly. Braun, Kane, and Strowman, or Braun, Kane, and Lesnar. It was better than I thought it would be, but still not must-see at all. And then Styles, Owens, and Zayn was an entertaining opener. So it was a very good show on the whole. A lot better than most Rumbles. But the 2 Rumbles themselves were the best parts of those respective shows. Or that show particularly. And then on TakeOver was the main event and the Cole Black match. Extreme Rules. Final question for today. What do you presume will be the best or be the tag team championship matches at WrestleMania? Do you think WWE will put any extra effort on them this year? Probably not, to be honest with you. The Raw tag team titles, doubt it. I mean, at least they were defended last year in a ladder match, which was cool. The Hardys coming back, that was awesome. But beyond that, there was really no effort put into that feud last year with Enzo and Cass and the Bar, and who else was it? I don't even know. Oh, the Club, Anderson and Gallows. This year, I doubt it. The Usos should be on WrestleMania. The Usos have yet to wrestle on WrestleMania, the main card, which blows my mind, but they are so hot right now. How can they not be on WrestleMania? Like, not the kickoff show. I'm talking the main card. They've been on the kickoff show 7 times. They got to be on the actual card this year. Will they put any extra effort into the Raw tag title match? Doubt it. That should probably be relegated to the kickoff show. Will it be like Revival in the Bar? Even that's good, but even that would make the kickoff show. That would make the main card. So they don't really have any real teams right now to put together for a money match for the Raw tag team titles on Raw. SmackDown, you can get the Usos and Bludgeon Brothers. That'd be fine. Or the Usos and I don't know who else. They've really beaten everyone else, the Usos. So I don't know, but I would not get my hopes up for any prominent tag title matches on the card this year. So anyway, guys, that is #AskGSM episode 218 here today. I believe it's 218. I think 217 was last week. For January 31st, 2018, I am Graham G. Matthews, and botch my name here. So tired coming off Rumble weekend, and my voice is still not 100%. But anyway, if you guys want to send in a question to the show, tweet me on the Twitter machine at WrestleRant with #AskGSM. Find me on the Facebook page as well, at facebook.com/Graham.GSM.Matthews. Leave your question on the post I usually put up on Tuesday nights, if not on the wall itself. And last but certainly not least, drop your question in the comment section down below. I'll include it in next week's edition. So with all that being said, folks, enjoy the rest of your week. I'm Graham GSM Matthews. We'll be back with an all-new episode next Wednesday, and I'll catch your ass down the road.